Leslie Chesterman, you probably remember the name, know the name. By the way, we do a podcast together called The Corner Booth. And Leslie, of course, better known when she was restaurant critic, food critic at the Montreal Gazette, has not stopped writing about food ever since then.
Or
And every time we get together, the conversation obviously always turns to food and restaurants in the city, and obviously a lot's gone on as far as that's concerned. But Leslie's got a brand new book coming out. Leslie, I'm sorry, and I don't mean this to sound odd, but how many books have you now published in the last year? Because it seems to me there's a new one coming out all the time.
Well, I did a book the year of the pandemic, 2020, and then during the pandemic I had to do something, so I wrote another book. And then my first French book is coming out in English now, which is great. So I'm very excited about that. And so it's 3. I used to do restaurant guides, which I happily don't do anymore, and which probably wouldn't work anymore because everybody just looks at, I don't know, what Yelp or TripAdvisor or whatever. Yeah. So I had to switch over to cookbooks, which has been quite pleasurable. So I'm happy about that.
So now the book that's coming out now, the English translation of the French book is called what?
It's called, in French, it was called Chez Leslie, like at my house. And now the English book is called Make Every Dish Delicious. So it really is, because there's a line, I think, in my introduction that said, my goal is to make every dish delicious. And so the publishers jumped on that, and then so now it's called Make Every Dish Delicious. And my new French book, which is coming out at the same time, is called.
Jeez.
I know. I mean, it's
You're giving
like
us whiplash.
But it's also like, yeah, I've got a little. And I'm going back and forth in French and English. So the French book is called Un Weekend Chez Leslie, which is kind of more weekend cooking and more project cooking. And I started kind of doing that kind of cooking during the pandemic, where I always have tons of time to cook, but I know all these people discovered cooking, like that they had a kitchen during the pandemic. And everybody's making, I don't know, homemade pasta and sourdough bread, something
yes.
I never made before, And suddenly everybody's like, oh, my God, flour, sugar, So I thought, well, here, let's, and I think a lot of people have rediscovered the pleasure of cooking, because for me, it's the pleasure of eating, drinking wine, cooking. These are very high up on my list.
Okay. Now, you and I kidded a while ago, and I was talking about lemon meringue pie. I think it was lemon meringue pie day on the show, not that many weeks ago. And I kind of jokingly said to you, boy, I don't know where to get a good lemon meringue pie. And you mentioned a couple of bakeries around town. But you also volunteered, and I'm not holding you this to Leslie just because we're on air.
He totally
is. But you did volunteer to make a lemon meringue pie for me, right?
I will gladly make you a lemon meringue pie. Actually, in my book, the English one that's coming out, Make Every Dish Delicious, there is a lemon pie that is the best. I stand by what I'm saying. I've eaten my weight 20 times over in lemon pies.
Okay.
Lemon meringue, lemon whatever.
Okay.
I've traveled to far distances of Paris to Parisian bakeries when people said, there is a lemon pie there you will never forget. I said, mine is better. So I will make you one happily, Erin, but it would be fun if, I'll give you my book and you can try to make it.
Oh, God, no. Leslie.
You might want to listen to Natasha on
yes.
that one. So, yeah.
No, he's the king of heating up salmon.
Reheating.
Yeah, he can put a piece of salmon in a toaster oven and throw that on some bagged lettuce. That's his pièce de resistance.
That's his style?
Yeah,
well,
it's not. No, hold on. To be fair, it's not bagged lettuce. It's bagged salad. It includes other things like carrots and things of that nature.
That would be too complicated for him to actually cut up and adorn the salad with himself. You understand, Leslie?
Yeah. Well, in my book, I tell people to avoid buying bagged salad.
Why?
Well, because bag salad, I think we had a discussion about this once, Erin. Bag salad is interesting. Sometimes the lettuces come from different places, so they're different ages. So as soon as one lettuce leaf in there starts to go a little yucky, they all will very quickly. They're much more expensive. It's funny how somebody the other day was saying, oh, you're such an elitist kind of food person. I'm like, I am not. It is so much less expensive to buy a head of lettuce and wash it and rip it up than to buy the bag salad. But it's all about convenience, and I really respect and understand that. I will buy a rotisserie chicken myself. But, certainly when it comes to things like that, it's that the bag salad, you have your different kind of dates of freshness in that salad.
Yeah, those are just suggestions, Leslie. As you know, they're usually good for at least a couple of days after they expire. I know I have them, and I'm still alive to talk about it. So.
Grief. Okay, so Leslie, moving on. Given that you no longer have to go out, for dinner how many nights a week and write about it, I'm wondering, do you enjoy dining out and having a truly fabulous meal experience more or less than cooking and slaving at home and creating your own fabulous dining experience?
Okay, I'm going to be totally honest here.
Yeah.
It hurts when I get the bill. Now, okay, I will explain that. So when I was a restaurant critic, of course, the Montreal Gazette covered all of my restaurant expenses, which were generous without being, New York Times restaurant critic crazy generous. I think the New York Times restaurant critic has some like $100,000 a year budget to go out to eat. I did not have close to that, but it was very generous. But the thing is that there's a side of me that when I get, a $200 bill for two, I recently got a $400 bill for two. Okay, so I understand, especially now, that restaurants, I don't want them to lose money. I don't want them to undercharge. I don't want them to pay their employees badly, all these things. So I eat out far less often than I used to. Mm-hmm. And when I get the bill, I say, this isn't only covering my meal. This is also supporting the restaurant industry in Montreal. That's really the way I see it now. I don't think, and anyway, if you go out to eat, you've got to know that you're going to be spending. But I go out far less than I used to, and I do cook a lot more at home. Not only, and I also like being at home because I like having people. I love having people over. I love having the music at the level I want it. I like having the lights at the level I want it. I don't like to be kicked out of my table at 9:30 when the next seating starts or whatever. And I like the intimacy of a dinner party, and I like cooking for my family. But restaurants were my life for 20 years, so I absolutely love. And the reason I live in Montreal is because of our restaurant scene. I mean, otherwise I would have moved to, Timbuktu. Over all the years, being my age, as an Anglophone Montrealer, I might have left. But really, when we have to check off the things we love about the city, for me, the restaurant scene here is the best in Canada. I mean, and arguably one of the best in North America.
Still?
Agreed, yeah.
Even now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's the level of sophistication. Even, I was recently in Prince Edward County, and I went to this really, really, really shishi new hotel. I won't name it. But, I'll tell you later, Aaron, later I'll tell you. And, it was so pretentious and so like rich Toronto people. Okay, I was into the whole thing. And then the extremely pretentious maitre d' hands somebody a glass of wine, and he's holding the glass of wine by the top of the wine glass, which people really shouldn't do because that's where your mouth goes.
Yes.
And he slams it down in front of the guy and says, "Here's your Sangiovese." And I thought, you would never see that in Montreal. Montreal, they will give you the glass, they will pour it from the bottle, and they will touch your glassware by the stem or put it on a tray. So we have such a level of savoir-faire in this city that I appreciate. I mean, the level of the wine service, the level of the selection on the menus, the level of cooking. And it's not just 5 restaurants like in Toronto. Sorry, Toronto, but it's true. It is so widespread. And restaurants are still having a hard time now finding personnel. But, I mean, there's such a wide selection. And there's such a commitment by the young chefs here, young, old chefs, whatever chefs. The only problem is now it's getting hard to get a table at the last minute. I don't know if you've noticed.
It's funny, though, isn't it? It's the restaurants that, yes, you have trouble getting a table, and the other restaurants that are having trouble staying in business.
Well, it's true. And, it's funny because I wanted to eat at L'Express the other day. Now, everybody wants to eat at L'Express all the time. I thought, I'm going to go there in January. I should book now. But there are other people complaining. But, I was at a kind of mediocre restaurant recently. I'm not going to name the name, but it was kind of mediocre. And it was full. There were a lot of tourists in there, too. So I'm glad to see tourists coming back to the city, especially because our dollar has gone down again. So we'll see more American tourists. And, of course, they'll have to leave Florida, I guess. Or a lot of people might be coming back, honestly. I know some restaurants only open 5 days a week or 4 days a week now. But I kind of would like to know which ones aren't doing well, because when I'm looking for a table, I would like that list to go to their restaurant.
Sure.
Because the other night I ended up not going out to eat because I called 5 of my favorite restaurants completely booked. So that is new, by the way, because when I was restaurant reviewing, I would always call at the last minute and get a table.
Isn't
now
that
forget
interesting,
it.
huh?
It's very interesting.
And everybody's eating early. This big new trend now?
It's true.
The 6:30 table is the new 8 o'clock table.
Wow.
It's so true.
I wish we had more time. All right, plug the book again, because it is coming out in English. And I know at the beginning the problem was people were like, great, Leslie Chesterman's got a cookbook, but it's only in French. So it's out in English as of today?
So it's called Make Every Dish Delicious.
Okay.
It's coming out. It's already for pre-sale on Amazon, Indigo. Independent bookstore is very important, too. It's coming out October 18th. And the new French book is called Un Weekend chez Leslie. If you can, if you have to practice your French, get the French book.
Have you started writing the next one already?
No, but I've got to start thinking. I've got to make a living.
It's been weeks.
Yes, I know. Come on, Leslie, get on
it.
Hey,
pal, see you tonight. Take good care.
Thanks, guys.
Leslie Chesterman, the brand new book is out in English. Make Every Dish Delicious.
Explain.
She's amazing.
She is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
just she's unbelievable is what she is. I cannot believe how ambitious she is and how much she does. And I feel like she's one of these superpower women. Just explain, because you're going to be doing the podcast
Yeah,
later,
so Leslie, myself, and Bill Brownstein do a podcast, which is on the Montreal Gazette's YouTube page called The Corner Booth. It's not always about restaurants. In fact, it's rarely about food and restaurants. But it's kind of fun. If you want to check it out, go to YouTube, Montreal Gazette. You'll see there's a whole bunch of them there.